Hey, it's Heidi. I am so glad you're here because I do not think that there is a more important thing that we can talk about than what we're going to talk about today, and that is how addiction impacts kids. It's the whole entire reason that we're here at Love Coach Heidi, that I wake up in the morning and do the thing that I do because it's my intention to break cycles, to stop the impact of addiction and dysfunction and abuse for good on the planet. And we heal that on the planet one person at a time, and that's you. And if you're here, either one of two things. You are in a relationship as a parent, and the other parent partner is an addict and alcoholic, and you're looking at your kids to go, man, what is the impact here? How is this? And first of all, thank you. That is so brave of you to now be looking outside and beyond of just your dynamic with your partner to see, I think it's more widespread. It's my hope that you hear something today, you see one of your kids in this video, and you're like, oh my God, that makes so much sense of why they're behaving that way, and you know how to help them moving forward. We're going to heal. So you know what you're going to do? You're going to interrupt this pattern now that would turn into like a thing that they kept doing as an adult and passed on to their kid. You're going to break that cycle because you're going to intervene, and that is freaking unbelievable. I am so glad that you're here. Or you are recovering addict and alcoholic. I am so grateful that you are willing to step outside because I know this is hard as hell. It's like excruciating. It is the last thing that you want to learn is like, how did I impact my kids and all this? Because when you're in addiction, let's be real, man, it is self-obsession, right? You believe the only person that you're impacting is yourself. And then when you get into recovery and you start to look around, you're like, oh shit, I think I might have hurt. I did some damage here. And you feel that because there's resistance in your kids still. You're feeling like you've got a long road to hoe with them, or you're noticing behaviors in them that are coming up and you're wondering what the impact is and how to rectify it. So brave. Either way, whether you're a partner or you're in recovery yourself, thank you for being brave and courageous to come here and look at some of this stuff. I'm gonna give it to you. I'm gonna lay it down for you. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I'm gonna tell you the absolute truth, and I'm gonna trust that you want to hear it. You're a truth seeker, and you want to see the reality of your situation so that you can change it. All right, so I'm gonna bank on that. You can count on me to not sugarcoat it, to just give it to you for the real. Why is this so important? Because if you don't get a handle on this awareness, right, and you don't understand how this is impacting your kids, the kids are gonna be like, go into their adulthood never really having a conversation about this, never really understanding. But here's the truth. There is going to be this underlying feeling with your kids like something's wrong with them. They're going to always feel a little different than everybody else. I know that was the case with me when I grew up with an alcoholic, and I was like, I don't feel like, well, that's his shit, not my stuff, But I always was like wondering, what's wrong with me? Why am I different than everybody else? It wasn't until I went into my first adult Children of Alcoholics class, ACOA, that I actually felt like I belonged somewhere. That I looked around and I was like, oh my God, these are my people. These are my people. Holy cow. And it was such a relief to know the way I was behaving, that was being self-destructive or self-sabotaging, was actually in alignment with the impact of that addiction on me. So there's two main ways that this shows up for adult. If we don't rectify this as an adult, it'll show up in self-sabotage for kids that grew up when they get come into adult in the area, their self-esteem will suffer, or they will have significant problems in their relationships. And so getting a handle on it now and opening up the discussion with your kids is going to be crucial in their ability to start to heal now. If we can get it early, and we can get in there and we can start to make some headway. Oh my God, hallelujah. So amazing that we're all here. Okay, I'm going to dive right into it, and I'm going to elaborate. I have a lot. And look, these aren't even all the ways, but these are some of the bigger ways that things show up. Look for your kids so that you can open the doors to conversation, and you can throw me under the bus. You can be like, I was watching this video with this crazy woman that was telling me that this addiction might be impacting you in this way, or can we watch this video together? I'll try to curtail the swearing a little bit. And can you watch this video with me and see if maybe you can relate to some of this stuff? And you might be wondering, how young is too young? Well, you know your children, okay? But I have had children in my family program, 10 years old, who have been able to articulate the impact of addiction better than the grandparents in the room, okay? Or the adults in the room. So whether you think they know or not, they know, okay, that this is a big deal and a problem. But the main thing a kid is just trying to do is survive. So they want to fit in. They want to be socially acceptable. They want to be approved of. So they're not trying to sing it from the rooftops, hey, my house is a mess. Hey, my life's falling apart. They're not going to be talking to a lot of people. And in fact, when you first start mentioning this to your child and you want to say your children and you want to talk about it, their natural inclination is to be like, oh, I'm fine. I'm fine. Honey, if you're watching this video, I know that you're fine. You are strong. You are amazing. You are a survivor. I know. You got this. But I also know that underneath of it, there are many times where you're not fine. And there are ways that this is showing up in your life that are making you feel angry underneath the surface. Maybe you get mad and you blow up for no reason and you're like a ticking time bomb, and all of a sudden you find out you're fine, and then you get really mad and really angry and you just want to blow up, and everybody's like, where did that come from? Or you feel a lot of pressure on you to be perfect all the time, or you feel like you can't make a lot of problems because dad's got too many problems, mom's got too many problems, and you're like, you know what, I can't add to the problems here, so I need to be okay. Or you feel like, you know what, I can take care of myself. I learned how to do it. They didn't do it for me, so I learned, and I don't need anything, and I don't need them to be a parent now because they weren't a parent before. I hear all of that, and I understand exactly where you're coming from. And I still think that if you listen to some of this stuff, it's going to help you in your relationships later on down the road. If you ever think about getting into a relationship with somebody or your friendships, it's also going to help you and later in life just be more successful, period, and be the best you that you can be. Okay, so I'm going to go over this with you now. Are you ready? All right. And if it's just the parents, that's cool. Make sure you take lots of notes. Kids that grow up in an addicted household grow up to have control issues, or you have control issues now. Now, if I'm talking to the children, I'm going to say, now I know that sometimes you feel like you have to be in control of everything all the time. And maybe this is your little 9-year-old going on 40 in the household, right? They're always telling people what to do and how to think and how to feel and how to behave and what to do. And they become the parent in the household. They're very mature. They're very responsible. This is a kid that feels like if they're not in control, that everything else is going to fall to pieces around them. So they feel like, oh my gosh, I need to be on my guard at all times. There's no parent available. And even sometimes when the addicted parent is checked out, also your parent that's not addicted is also checked out, because all of the time and attention and focus is going on to the addict or alcoholic. So you feel like, well, you need to be the little adult. You don't need to be the little adult. Okay, when we're in recovery at this point and we're watching this video, we can talk about how you get to relax a little bit. What are the areas you can let go of some controls? What your responsibilities are as a family member, but not as a parent in this household, and how we can restore some of the balance and maybe take back some of the responsibilities that kid has been entrusted to run the show, and start. And look, it doesn't mean anything about you. You're still just as valuable. You're still just as important, but you don't need to be on guard so much taking care of everything. And you don't need to be the little husband or the little wife or the little mom or the little dad in the family. You get to just be yourself. Okay. So restoring the balance and making sure that this kid doesn't feel like they have to constantly be the adult in the household is going to be huge. I know that you have trouble as a kid identifying your feelings. And this is because you've learned to numb your feelings. It hasn't been a safe place for the child in the household to feel their feelings. Because let's be real, if they feel their feelings, they're probably not going to survive it. If they looked around and were like, yeah, let me feel sad about this. Let me really dive into how bad this really is. they wouldn't be able to do the other things like go to school and function and be with their friends and have fun, or try to have fun, or try to, get their homework done. They can't get into their feelings. So they learn very early on to just like shut them down. It doesn't matter. You're fine. And I'm fine becomes the battle cry of a kid in an addicted household. Well, you know what? You don't have to be fine. You get to have feelings about this. And in fact, the more that you're able to feel your feelings and share your feelings, the more the family is going to heal and the better you're going to feel. I promise that your feelings are not going to kill you. It's going to be okay. You're allowed to feel your feelings. You're not going to make any problems if you do that, because you know what? I know that a lot of times you feel like I can't have my feelings because I don't want to add to the problems. Having feelings does not add to the problems, okay? The problems are there. You're not the cause of the problems, all right? So you having feelings about things and are getting angry or afraid to get angry or afraid to show your feelings isn't stopping anything bad from happening. But I know that's what you think. Well, if I just keep my feelings to myself, if I'm not a problem and I'm not creating problems for the family, then maybe dad will get better, mom will get better. But you know what? You're not the source. I know that you think sometimes, even though you can, maybe say, I don't know about that. As kids, we think that their addiction is about us. We can get that messed up in our minds. We can think, oh, you know what? I bet you if things were better in the house, dad wouldn't drink or mom wouldn't be out of control. And you can ask yourself questions like, what's wrong with me? I know that as a little girl, when I had my dad that was an alcoholic, I felt very different from my friends and felt like there was something wrong with me on the inside. In fact, I didn't know what normal was. I guessed at what normal was all the time. That's why I wrote this book, Feeling Different Than Your Friends, and talking about that with people, you can get this book for your kids, okay? You can get this book on Amazon. It's the book I wrote to explain how growing up in addiction impacts us. But you might guess at what normal is. You might go to your friend's house and feel like, man, their family's a lot different than my family. You might even wish that you had a different family. And when everybody's in recovery, it's important to talk about some of these things. If you grow up in an addiction household, you have a problem with thinking positive. Now, as a parent, you might notice this in your kid and think, man, they're so negative, and I try to help them be positive and see that, like if in school they're having a hard time and they think the world is over, it's over. I'm so, everything's terrible. It's awful. And you're like, hey, just think positive. Two things are happening. Number one, that kid has trouble with optimistic thinking. And number two, they also fall into the trap of all or nothing mentality. And this is because of the adults in the household. Whenever you're an addict or an alcoholic, it is all or nothing. It is either awesome or terrifying. It's okay or it's not okay. There is no gray. So when a child grows up in that environment, they learn, A, the shoe's going to drop. That's why they have a problem being positive, because bad things are always going to happen. Or B, it's either great or it's awful and there's no in between. So you need to understand that. And as an adult with your children, you need to help them learn to live in the gray. Okay? Now, I know if you're a kid watching this video, if you're a little younger, you're already tired. Take a break. Okay? Come back to this video later on. And if you're an adult, I'm going to encourage you to get perspective and sit your butt down and keep watching the video so that you can continue to learn and grab a pen and paper. Look, we can spend 20 minutes learning about the damage we caused over decades. Okay? We can do this. You can do this. I promise. All right? You might have a child that overreacts to criticism, even if it's healthy criticism, if you're trying to help them. Number one, when you're an addict or an alcoholic and you try to tell your child anything about anything, they look at you like you have three heads and you are out of your mind, because they're like, are you trying to tell me how to be a better human being? Are you trying to tell me that I need to be responsible? I mean, they literally think that you are mad nuts, because how dare you, who is ruining the family and drinking all day long, tell them to make their bed? Are you freaking kidding me? So A, they think you're a hypocrite. So you're going to have to earn back that trust and respect as the parent to be able to be like, walk in integrity. I'm walking the talk. I'm doing what I'm asking you to do. Okay. And B, they also think that everything is their fault anyway. Again, that's why I wrote this book, What's Wrong with Me? overreacting to criticism and internalizing your addiction and internalizing your dysfunction, as in there's something wrong with them, or you would want to be a better mom, there must be something wrong with them, or you'd want to be a better dad to them, is the name of the game for all kids. That is the biggest impact. What's wrong with me is the number one impact. They have difficulty having fun. They're always on guard because they don't know when things are going to go bad again. I remember my dad used to take us to this place called the Pigeonhole in West Virginia. It was like a pond with a rope swing, and it was fun, for the day we go. But I just remember sitting there thinking, he's going to fall. He's going to go off the cliff. He's going to slip because he's drunk. He's going to split his head open. I can't carry the body. These are the things that I would be thinking as a kid. So it's very hard for your kids to learn how to have fun. In fact, maybe the only way they let themselves is if they do indulge in substances, because that's what they learned modeled is the only way to get outside of themselves, because they're so hyper vigilant all the time waiting for bad things to happen. Okay. Denying their own needs. Why would they have needs? Why should they have needs? Their needs aren't going to get met anyway. They learn that their needs aren't important. You tell them that whenever all the focus and attention goes on to the addict or alcoholic, even if it's a sibling, by the way. If there's other kids in the house and the brother or sister is addicted, some of you watching this, that's been the case as well. This is the same. These traits are the same for that kid, but it's double. It's almost worse in many ways, because they can't get any kind of love and attention, and they might have to learn, well, I guess being negative is the only way for me to get any attention from you. So they can act out, because they're thinking, I guess that's who I need to be. Many times, one of the things is I'm a chameleon. Kids that grow up in addiction don't know who the heck they are. In fact, that's why I came up with these 8 different personality patterns, attachment personality patterns. These are the personalities we take on in order to thrive, survive, connect, or cope in a family that's addicted or dysfunctional or abusive. And you can find that book over at lovecoachheidi.com and download it for free. I'm describing all of these different traits that are inside of these 8 different personalities, and you can identify your kids and you can ask them the questions and see if they fit in. Being fine, we kind of already talked about, not allowed to have feelings. They walk on eggshells. These kids, it's a tripwire. They never know what's going to upset anybody. So a lot of the kids become perfectionists. They have to do everything perfectly all the time. They're again hyper vigilant around themselves, making sure that everything's perfect all the time. There's so many here. I don't know. They become a fixer in their relationships. They find other people to rescue later on. Look how many more there are. I'm just scratching the surface, and we're almost at 20 minutes. If you want to continue on to learn more about the ways that this has impacted your children in particular, step 1 is go ahead and download that book over at lovecoachheidi.com, the different personality patterns. Step 2 would be go get this book on Amazon, okay? The What's Wrong With Me book. And this is a book written for adults. It's not for kids, actually, okay? But if they're a certain age, they definitely are going to be able to identify. So whether you're in recovery or you have a parent, you're a parent and your spouse is in and out of addiction, What's Wrong With Me is a book written for adults as a children's book. Inside on every page is a way that addiction impacts us and the different codependency traits that develop out of that. So this is a book too. It's a codependency book. As a codependency expert, this is my contribution. Simple, to the point, with pictures that everybody can digest and take it in as their own and marinate on it and say, how did this affect me? Can I relate to that page? And it's meant to be a discussion book. Therapists can use this in their office with their clients who grew up in addiction to figure out how this has impacted them. You can use it with your children in group therapy, take it to your therapist and look at it together. Or you can do it with a more mature person and go through it with them. That's step 2. All we're doing is starting to get the conversation rolling, all right? If you want to continue on and you want to keep learning about all the ways, all the many more ways, go over to lovecoachheidi.com and also think about coming alongside of me for our program, Life School. Liberate Your Family Empowerment School. The fall session is starting, where we combine this world-class education with masterful coaching inside a semi-private group situation, or you can have one-on-one sessions as well, where we can help to start to restore the peace and sanity back in your family and undo some of this monumental damage that has been done, so we break that cycle for good. All right? I love you so much. I'll see you soon. Take care. Make sure you like and comment on this video because it helps us help more people. See you soon. Bye.